What's up, guys? How's it going? Welcome to my channel. My name is PJ. Today I want to talk to you about a book I read recently called 10x is easier than 2x, which kind of makes no sense when you take it at its kind of upfront word. But as I read this book more and more, the deep significance and the deep meaning and the deep value of this concept or thought process became really clear to me. Now, 10x is easier than 2x. How does that make sense? And again, this book is written by two gentlemen. One, his name is Dan Sullivan. So he's like a business coach, and he is kind of the one that came up with the idea. And he partnered up with another gentleman named Dr. Benjamin Hardy, who is kind of the writer of the book. He has really good like writing skills, and I guess like he used to write blogs and stuff about self-development. And he partnered up with Dan Sullivan, who used to usually write shorter books, but together they teamed up, made a longer book or wrote a longer book with the help of Benjamin Hardy writing it basically for Dan Sullivan, or expanding on his ideas and making a longer book and in a longer format versus like shorter books that Dan Sullivan usually wrote. But nonetheless, this book is by these two gentlemen, and it's a very powerful concept. Now, kind of like what it means and what it entails is what I wanted to talk to you about in this book recommendation video, and more so like my takeaways. These book recommendations, which I believe in and I know you're going to see a lot more of on my channel. It's something I'm starting to do and going to be doing a lot more of them on my channel, these book recommendations. One thing you'll see in these book recommendations when they're coming from me is that they're just more so like my takeaways, not like verbatim and word by word what an author says in a book, because obviously, I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and books are like 5 hours long, 6 hours long, 10 hours long, sometimes 20 and beyond that long. So obviously you can't condense all the information that's given in a book in a short video, but this is more so like my summary and what I took away from it. Because to me, like, I feel like what I take away from it and what stands out to me is what I found to be most helpful. That's usually how those nuggets reveal themselves to me, not like the summary of the whole content of the book, but like I try to like summarize those golden nuggets that stood out to me while listening to this audiobook. And that's what I'm going to share with you today in this book recommendation video. But 10x is easier than 2x. What the heck does that mean? Because on its face value, it makes no sense, right? Like if you're doing, let's say, 2 times, you work out two times a week, 2 days out of the week you work out. So if you were to 10x that and you work out now 10 times per week, how does that make sense to say that's easier? But basically the idea is when you start thinking 10x, as these two gentlemen put it, not like someone like Grant Cardone, back in the days, he used to have this book called, I think it was just called 10x. And his whole idea, his whole approach is like do more, right? It's kind of like the David Goggins approach. Let's just do more effort. Or kind of like Alex Hormozy approach, which is another like business coach guy, who always says like violence is the answer, meaning that like more effort, more value, more just grinding and nose to grindstone type of like attitude. That's like one kind of paradigm or approach, but and bringing kind of like the word paradigm back that I just said in that last sentence, like speaking of the word paradigm, 10x, as these two guys put it, as Dr. Benjamin Hardy and as Dan Sullivan put it, like 10x is a whole different paradigm. That's what they're talking about, and that's what it means. And when we say the word paradigm, it's literally like 2 different approaches to life. And I'll caveat to something that I was going to say at the end of the video, but I'll say it now because it's appropriate and apt to say right now. But basically, there's this concept of like power versus force introduced to the world by a gentleman named Dr. David R. Hawkins, who is one of my favorite spiritual / author teachers of all time. And I love his books, and I'm obsessed with all his works. I've pretty much read all his books, and I love his works. Can't talk about him as much anymore because a whole nother story, but like Suzanne Hawkins, the late wife of Dr. Hawkins, kind of like copyright strikes anyone who shares his information in a video, or like his map of consciousness, which he introduced to the world in Power versus Force. But basically in Power versus Force, I'm not going to show the map, but there's this map of consciousness, and there's 2 like layers or levels of reality or consciousness that Dr. Hawkins introduces to the world. He basically says that the paradigms of the world like fall into two different categories or paradigms of reality, or groups of reality. One is the level of force, and these are like all the levels below this map of consciousness goes from 0 to 1,000. All the levels under 200, such as, and you can look up this map of consciousness online for free, or like buy it from Dr. Hawkins' website or find it in his books. But nonetheless, like this map of consciousness, all the levels below 200, such as like shame, guilt, anger, pride, what else? Apathy. These all fall into the category of force. And force, these levels are not powerful. Like this is not power. What is powerful are levels such as 500 love, or peace, like 600, enlightenment, 700 and above, neutrality, which I believe is like 250, willingness, which is, or courage. I believe courage is where it flips. It goes from under 200 to over 200. So you have to have courage and willingness and those kind of attitudes to step into a whole different paradigm or different way of living in this reality. So force, you're like prideful, you're dishonest. I'm not saying you, but like if you are exhibiting those attitudes, that's lowering your consciousness. You're living in a different reality of life. And as you start to exercise and bring more about the attitudes of neutrality, willingness, operating from love, reason, the level 400, you stop to willingly expand your attitude, have a better attitude, have a higher level of consciousness, have a different attitude that you approach all aspects of your life with. And through that, you expand your consciousness and go into a whole new, like different level or paradigm of reality called power. Again, like all levels above 200 in Dr. Hawkins' kind of metaphor or analogies, if we to use that. Now, the way that Dr. Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan kind of go about framing 10X is to say, and he kind of actually brought this exact point and started talking about Dr. Hawkins' work and power versus force, which blew my mind because like it was like starting to click that like, oh wow, like this is what they're really talking about. It's this flipping, it's this shift of paradigm. Like 2X to them is like force, 10X is power, to kind of match it to Dr. Hawkins' analogies and way of framing it. But like that's what, you know, I was having the inkling that this is what they're talking about, and then boom, like Benjamin Hardy brought it in that like this is literally what he's kind of referring to. So 10X in their paradigm, in their framework, in Dr. Benjamin Hardy's and Dan Sullivan's framework, that's power. It's a different paradigm of reality. It's a different way of thinking entirely. So 2X in their framework is like doing more of the same thing. That's what that represents. Just do more, grind more, work harder, push more, you know, try harder, try more, do more. It's more like a let's say shotgun approach. Like if you have a bullet, you know, from like a, I don't know why I'm going with the gun analogy, but like 9mm, you know, a handgun bullet, 2X is like shotgun. It's like more, a little bit more like forceful. It exerts more force. But like basically, you know, 10X in their word, it's like, it's not just like a little bit more of the same things or even double the same thing. It's like a whole different paradigm. It's like in creating entire, like, it's like creating like a laser force system that's like a whole different paradigm. It's like a whole different thing, and it's way more powerful. But like, I don't know why I'm going with these weapons analogy. Let's just ride with it. And like, it's a whole different weapon structure. It's like, it's what aliens have. It's like way different and way above ours, right? Like us just doing more of the same thing is that it's not even a match to their quantum level layer, like laser beam system, you know, analogy that can destroy our like planet, like in Star Wars, whatever they had, like Death Star. Like that's a whole different paradigm. That's 10X. So basically when Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan are saying 10X are they're saying think a different paradigm, think a different approach. And so what happened for me as I was trying to implement these ideas in my life, I said, you know, I haven't been making videos in a while because I have been kind of trying to kind of understand like what is my channel about, like little vision quest internally I was going through with this YouTube channel of like basically what is this about, like what do I got to share that I want to share that I believe would be helpful for others. So nonetheless, like that's my own stuff. But as I was trying to apply this whole frame of like 10X is easier than than 2x, which wasn't making sense to me at the time. I started to apply it to this YouTube channel so I understand it. I was like, okay, well, I haven't really been making YouTube videos so in a while. I used to be a lot more consistent, make a lot more back in the days, but I haven't been making YouTube videos in a while. So what is that like to go from like 0x per week, 0 videos per week, to go to 10x per week? Now, maybe not per week, sorry about it, like 10x per month, 2 per week. Let's just say that, like, just for the sake of kind of simplicity and simple math. But like basically I was like, how am I going to do that? Like, and how is that easier? And then I started thinking like a whole different paradigm. I started thinking in terms of like, what would I like really want to share about that I do so much of already, that 10xing that, like going from 0 videos per week to 10x videos, that I could make 10 videos on that and on that category or on that topic, and I would love to share about it. Well, one thing you would know about me if you just browse my videos is that I've made like book recommendations videos for the Enneagram types, which is a personality typing system that I love, and which kind of started my channel about initially. I made book recommendations of that. I've made book reviews such as The Way of the Superior Man book review, Codependent No More book review. What other books? I've made some. I had a book about the book Letting Go by Dr. David R. Hawkins, another one about Power versus Force by Dr. David R. Hawkins on my channel. But nonetheless, like, I love book reviews, and that's what I want to do. That's what I want to share about. So like 10xing that's something I already do. 10xing that is what I want to do. It's like simple, and it's a whole different paradigm. Like, it is actually easier in that regard for me to 10x that. So when I start thinking about how the hell can I do 10x this 2x, this 0x that I'm doing right now? I'm doing 0 videos. How the hell can I go from 0 to not only 2, but like to 10x? And I started thinking in a whole different paradigm of reality. I started thinking about a whole different way of my YouTube channel. Not just like thinking about, oh, how can I 2x these like spiritual topics or spiritual videos that I make, which is like what I shared about on my channel, like spiritual kind of truth and realities of life, like philosophy and those type of things. Like, not just more of the same thing, more of those, but like 10x, trying on 10x is easier than 2x as a way of thinking, trying that on and trying to like work through that layer or like lens of looking at things. Through that, I started thinking a whole different paradigm, and 10x for me, what that started looking like is like book recommendation channel, like making a book recommendation channel or making YouTube videos about book recommendations, which is something I want to do, something I already do, something I love, and something that I can 10x. So instead of like going from 0x to 2x and just making double spiritual videos that I was making on my channel, so I'm already like not making any for, a few months. Now I'm going to just like double making videos about those kind of topics. Instead, I'm thinking 10x. So a whole new layer of reality unlocked to start. It got me thinking differently. Let's just say that it got me thinking differently, which is what I believe is the whole value of this thinking structure of 10x is easier than 2x. It starts to get you thinking differently. And basically, one of the spiritual books I loved is called A Course in Miracles. And basically, one of the sayings that is repeated in that book is like, "Dear God, help me see this differently. Help me think about this differently. Help me." One of the sentences that starts the whole book, or even brought about per se, or help channel A Course in Miracles through Helen Schuckman, who was basically the channel for A Course in Miracles to come through. Long story, you can dive into that deeply, but basically, like, it claims to be the voice of Jesus Christ, and it channeled through Helen Schuckman. And the thing that brought it about, the type of thinking that opened the floodgate for the channel to be brought the channeling to be, or A Course in Miracles to be brought about through Helen Schuckman, was this thought, the singular thought between her and this other gentleman named Bill. It was this singular thought: there must be another way. That singular thought, them asking that question, there must be another way. There must be a better way. There must be another way. That singular question brought about a whole Course in Miracles. It basically brought about the opening of the floodgates for the channeling of A Course in Miracles to happen through Helen Schucman. So simply this thought system of 10x is better or easier than 2x, what it does is like it opens the floodgates of thinking in a whole new way, but simply asking the question, within that framework, concealed within the idea of 10x is better than 2x or easier than 2x, concealed within that is this thought that there must be a better way. There must be another way of looking at this. There must be another way of going about this. And simply by having this thought system installed in your mind, like an app on your phone, on your iPhone, this thought system unlocks new capabilities, like an app like ChatGPT installed on your iPhone, and unlocks new capabilities of your iPhone. It brings about a whole like new way of thinking for your iPhone. Installing this app installing this app of 10x is better than 2x in your mind unlocks new abilities or ways of thinking in your mind. The same way that app ChatGPT installed on iPhone would bring about new abilities or unlocked already hidden potentials within your iPhone device. It would unlock those. It would make those online, bring those about. Same way with this. It's like a mind app. Maybe I'll coin that phrase. It's a mind app. This way of thinking of 10x is better than 2x. It's a mind app. You install this mind app in your mind, in your brain. It unlocks your brain and starts getting you be thinking differently. So that's what I wanted to share about in this whole video about the thought system of 10x is better than 2x. There was a story of Michelangelo creating the statue of David, which, historians, humanities students and teachers and analyzers of like modern or works of art throughout history would probably say that statue is one of the greatest statues ever made, the statue of David made by Michelangelo. This story of Michelangelo coming about and creating that statue, it captures and encapsulates the whole idea of 10x is better than 2x, which is a story that Dr. Benjamin Hardy shares in the first chapter of this 10x better than 2x book to encapsulate and bring home and bring about like the understanding of this thinking system. And that story encapsulates the whole thing. But just to summarize it briefly, is like basically Michelangelo kept like stretching his own abilities and his own mind and capabilities and his own confidence in himself by constantly seeking like 10x results or 10x statues. Like he would constantly like basically stretch himself and stretch his own abilities and stretch his own way of thinking by constantly thinking, how can I do much better? Not just 2x better, but 10x better. So like project one, let's say in like that's simple math, like year 1000, project one that he took was like, let's say a 2x. The next project was 10x better. The next project was 10x better. It wasn't just like small, steps. His jumps, like every 2 years, his jumps were super drastic to a point that like by constantly thinking bigger, setting bigger goals, setting bigger accomplishments when it comes to a statue and carving these stones into these statues, he constantly set 10x goals and accomplished 10x results that would have taken someone else like thousands of years to get that good. But because he set these 10x goals, and every approach and every statue that he created was 10x better than before, because he was thinking big and he was thinking differently, and he constantly stretched his own abilities to their maximum capabilities, he accomplished and unlocked 10x is better than 2x results. And his whole life encapsulates this whole book of 10x is better than 2x. So whether you read the biography of Michelangelo or you buy these books and distill the lessons that 10x is better than 2x, whether you read that biography or read the book 10x is better than 2x, either way you will learn from Michelangelo and from the story that his whole life tells. You'll learn why 10x is better than 2x. So that is what I'll leave you with, my friends. I hope that you go check out this book by Dr. Benjamin Hardy, written and co-authored together with Dan Sullivan. Dan Sullivan's teachings and Dr. Benjamin Hardy's writing. Together they've teamed up and created this great work that truly is encapsulating of the idea of 10x is better than 2x, because it's such a phenomenal 10x better than a lot of other books, better kind of book. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Go check it out. There's an affiliate link to this book. Not that I'm affiliated by it, it's just an Amazon affiliate link in the description to check out the book. I'll get probably a little commission if you buy it with that link, but if not, it's totally cool, whatever. This channel is primarily going to be focused on more book recommendation series and those kind of things. So if you're interested in that, I would love to share my book recommendations with you. So subscribe to stay tuned for more book recommendations coming soon through this channel to you. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. That's very appreciated by me. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Goodbye. Until then, take care.